Ladies and gentlemen, we interrupt your regularly scheduled programming to bring you this special bulletin and back to our normal intro. When it comes to out-of-touch billionaires, it seems par for the course that most CEOs of one AAA game studio or another are, well, like I said, completely and totally out of touch, lost the plot, inability to read the room, have no idea what the fans want. But there are some out there that are, well, they definitely come in first place, and this time, at least, well, so far this week, we got Randy Pitchford because Borderlands 2 is coming out and Randy's got to put his foot in his mouth and endear himself to the real fans. But I guess the real fans aren't really listening to this nonsense that are coming to his defense. Maybe, perhaps, don't know, doubt it. There's a lovely article from Kotaku, nonetheless. Article that's more interested in talking about politics and poverty and everything than talking about the actual video game, but hey, we'll see. Borderlands 4 boss says, quote, a real fan will pay $80 for the game. Randy Pitchford's comments show a disturbing lack of understanding about poverty because we're not even going to discuss the actual reason why $80 is a ridiculous price for a video game, especially coming from Gearbox and the diminishing returns that is the Borderlands series. Yes, I believe they've sold, I think the count is 90 million copies to date for the entire franchise. That is nothing to shake a stick at, but the numbers are continuing to decline. Less and less people are buying this game, and you slap an $80 price tag on it during a time period where people are getting more and more selective with their purchases might not be the best idea. Some of the best games so far, especially the past 30 days, past couple of months, some of the most highly acclaimed games have been $30, $40, and $50 coming from the not-so AAA studios, the independent circuit, the indie developers who actually care about the product that they're working on. And it shows. You know, haven't said it in a while, but hey, they decided to make it fun first. Fucker. Oh, good old John Walker looks to be an aspiring political or maybe a financial writer talking about poverty. Let's see what Kotaku writer John Walker has to say. Game prices have been the subject of controversy since games had prices. Well, not necessarily a controversy. Well, since the internet, since people were talking about it, the history of the video game price, we got really used to $50 and $60. I did a little digging way back in 1994. I think it was Sony that came on the scene and set their prices of their CDs, their discs at $50, competing with what some would consider overpriced at the time, definitely overpriced for today, of $100 for some of their cartridges. But the difference is those were complete games. Something that these developers, these studios, these, well, stans, simps, these defenders of the price hike fail to talk about consistently. Those games were complete. You didn't need to be online. You bought it, you played it, you owned it. There were no day one patches. There were no, well, I mean, I'm sure some of them had glitches, but you know, some of those we were stuck with. There was a lot more quality control before the game went gold. Around 2006, the price went up to $60, and for a good long while, over 10 years, we enjoyed a $60 price tag. And lo and behold, I believe it was NBA 2K something, because I don't pay attention to sports games all that much. Price hike up to $70, and the gamers got used to it. Now, a nice little short 5 years later, there's rumblings thanks to Nintendo, thanks to Grand Theft Auto 6 and the speculation of what that price is going to be, all the way up to $80, if not more. Ultimately, the market will decide. Make no bones. There's no doubt about it. The market will decide on whether or not this price is tenable. Is it possible that a Borderlands game, Borderlands 4, could succeed, could get the same amount of sales as Borderlands 2 or Borderlands 3, much less, with an $80 price tag? Back to the article. How much is a game worth? Well, that's for an individual to decide on how much they are willing to pay for a video game versus let's wait a few months until it goes on sale, which, hey, why not do that, everybody? Wait for it to go on sale. Don't worry about FOMO. Don't worry about spoilers. Just, unless, of course, you're a content creator and you can sit there and write it off on your taxes. It's your job. It's a bit different story there. That's why content creators get that 2 and 3 and 4 day early access. I think that's justified. Get it out there. You want to be the first. That is actually where FOMO comes in as a bonus. Being the first one to play it, first one to show it off on your channel. Again, as a content creator, you make money off of that. So that's understandable. But for the average gamer, don't fall for it. Wait for the reviews. Hold on to your wallet. Vote with your wallet. Don't succumb to the fear of missing out. Sales are a wonderful thing. Unless, of course, you're a Nintendo fan because they don't have sales. But I digress. What qualities or aspects of a game justify a higher price tag or demand a lower one? Well, that's decided by the market. Again, something these studios seem to forget. Again, unless you're Nintendo, because nobody seems to care. Does a game that costs $70 deserve the same critical reaction as the identical game, but $30? Again, situational. Context matters. What games are we talking about? All this has gone on since time immemorial. It wasn't that long ago. We're talking 30 years. This has been going on for 30 years. It's okay. Just 30 years. That's not that long. Okay? Stop acting like that. I feel old enough. Stop talking about the late 1900s. Anyway, I'm going to go in the corner and cry now. Back to the video. But something that seems to rumble underneath so much of the discussion is rich people telling poor people that price doesn't matter. Well, that is definitely something that's been happening since time immemorial. When asked about the potential $80 cost for Borderlands 4, multi-millionaire Randy Pitchford, CEO, pompous, arrogant asshead, of developer Gearbox, told a potential customer, if you're a real fan, you'll find a way to make it happen. Now, he's not entirely wrong. However, if you're a real fan, you just turn people away from the game. People who are wondering, you're going to have fans. You're going to have people out there who want to play everything Borderlands, who are massive fans, who went to the theater and watched the Borderlands movie and found it enjoyable. Although I am not that much of a fan, I did find the movie enjoyable, and I have no intention of buying the game. Not too worried about that. However, when you come across and telling people if you're a real fan, you turn people away. They're no longer interested. People who are on the fence, barely interested in your game, they're going to be turned away. But let's take a look. Pitchford offered his reasoning. Now, we have a whole bunch of conjecture, whole bunch of paraphrasing. Let's go ahead and take a look at the tweet ourselves. Good old the treasure teacher, old gold sot, here says, Randy, this game better not be $80. Don't take that risk. A lot of gamers aren't going to pay $80 and feed this notion of constant increase of the price tag. And there are a considerable number of people who they'll go on, they'll play games in their library, they'll go find the indie studio with the $50 price tag that gives them just as many hours of enjoyment. You are the CEO. You have some say with the price when it comes to your publisher. Now, this is in response. Good old Randy says, not my call. You could have left it at that. You could have left it at that, Randy, but no. Your inability to read the room, you're out of touch with the fans. B, If you're a real fan, you'll find a way to make it happen. And of course, we go on with some anecdotal evidence. My local game store had Starflight for Sega Genesis for $80 in 1991 when I was just out of high school working minimum wage at an ice cream parlor. I'm going to press X to doubt. In Pismo Beach, and I found a way to make it happen. It's not going very well for Randy in the replies, as you can see. Fuck right off. We're not paying $80 for Borderlands. Has to be one of the worst CEO replies. And of course, you know, that lovely little response. And it goes on and on. If your intention was to inspire people to buy this game with that weak-ass cucked comment you just made, I regret to inform you that the opposite effect will now happen. Why, thank you, fake Pear Bear. You said it very well. Put back to where'd the article go? There it is. Randy Pitchford grew up in Fairfax, luxury viewpoints. This is why I mentioned this writer seems to be more interested in a career in political writing or financial journalism, because it goes on and on, not even actually talking about the games, wanting to talk about poverty and finances and how people just can't seem to afford much of anything. I'm not here to talk about that. I'm here to talk about the price tag of a video game, and probably more important reason why people aren't going to fork over $80 for the game. For so many of us, finding another $20 to buy a favorite video game means grumbling and pulling out our wallet. Well, maybe. Some people are definitely going to be able to do that. Some people are not. Some people will wait for sales. Some people will get it day one. They'll start saving now, put the money aside. This is something that we've all done. Your average everyday gamer is not making a decision on food or video game. That's beyond hyperbolic. However, they will be making the decision between video game A and video game B on which one they want to purchase first and which one they want to wait for a sale on. Bringing in income and poverty and rent and all these other things has absolutely nothing, in my opinion, to do with the deciding factor when it comes to video game purchases. Number one, price tag. Number two, how interested the person is in playing the game. Can they, will they decide to wait for a sale? Have to wait and see. Is the review going to be up to snuff? But of course, this last part, if you're a real fan, hopefully this context suggests why it's just so revolting for a man who sold his company for a potential $1.3 billion in 2021, because we have to denigrate the rich people. I don't despise Randy Pitchford because he's rich. I despise him because he's an idiot who's lost touch and wants to say nonsense like, if you're a real fan, you'll find a way to buy the game. Pretentious, narcissistic twat. If you're a real fan, you'll find a way to make it happen. No, if you're interested in the game and purchasing it day one, genuinely, honestly, you will find a way to make it happen. Because, well, that's what people do when they're interested in your product. But when you start that sentence off with, if you're a real fan, you turn people away. Because you know, when he was doing the summer job beach, I don't give a toss about his past. It's gross. It sucks. I'm fed up with it. I'm sick of rich people telling poor people that they can find money if they just try hard enough. What does that have to do with video games? I believe this feels like, again, the writer is more interested in being a financial or political journalist, but they're over here degrading themselves, debasing themselves, writing about video games and the nonsense in the gaming industry. So they have to push a little bit here and there, but try to avoid getting the wrong sort of attention. Flippantly dismissing the concept that life is extremely tough for millions and millions of people. Again, people are not making the decision on food or video game. That's not how people think. The decision is, do I go to the movies or do I go out to eat? Do I play this video? Do I buy this video game that's $70 now, or do I wait for it to go on sale? Do I go to the theater to watch the movie, or do I wait for it to come out on streaming services? Or do I go hang out with Captain Jack Sparrow? These are the financial decisions that people are making. It's not between food. If you are struggling to get food, you have far more serious problems than to be worrying, concerning yourself with video games. This article goes into a bunch of nonsense, but what do you expect from Kotaku? The main crux of the whole thing is Pitchford, his nonsense, his out-of-touch ramblings, and, well, apparently his belief that if you're broke, if you decide to wait for a sale, you're just not a real fan. But hey, let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Leave a like, leave a dislike, do all those nifty little things that YouTube is begging you to do. Hit that subscribe button if you want to listen to more of my nonsense, and hope to see you on the next one.